Hello and welcome to Longship Gaming. Well, this is it. This is part 3 of our comprehensive hero rating and review series. We have reached the pinnacle, Tier 1, the best of the best heroes in the game from the core set all the way through the Sinister Motorcycle. By the time this goes up, shortly the Mutant Genesis cycle will be out. We'll get a whole new bunch of heroes and scenarios to play with. But at this stage, we've got 35 heroes we've gone through, and now we're in the top 12. Tier 1, the best of the best. Just to level set what we've done with this series. All heroes have been played on solo expert, with a variety of decks, but far from all combinations, because no one has time for that. Hundreds of games have been played in total by me, but some information has been taken from the Marvel Champions database, especially when it comes to popular aspects for certain heroes. We have a 10-point scale over 5 categories with a maximum score of 50, rated from low to high. Their fun factor, power level, theme, versatility, and complexity. Tiebreakers are in order of fun, power, theme, versatility, and complexity. And as I said, this is our third video. We have our 3 tiers, and this one is going to be the best of the best. In my opinion, you're both going to have the best time playing these tier 1 heroes, and you're also your capability of winning is very much tipped in your favor. So, what's under the box is our remaining 12. So, we'll be right back with our first hero of tier 1. All right, welcome back. So, into 12th position, the first hero in our Tier 1 category, it's Captain Marvel. So, Captain Marvel, power is fun, so I'm going to give her a 7 in the fun factor. She's the epitome of a cosmically powered hero. She's only one of 2 heroes that can one-turn a villain stage, and the other being Ironheart. Whereas Ironheart has to chip away with repeated uses of maximum efficiency. Captain Marvel can just do in one turn with one big energy channel. So, therefore, power level is 7. She only really lacks in defense. She's got a 2-2-1 stat line, which is very strong. But her real strength is her built-in card draw. Between Commander, on her alter ego side, to rechannel, and her Alpha Flight Station, she really has no difficulty getting the cards that she wants when she wants them. She also has one of the rare resource cards that provides 3 resources, in this case energy. With her, she just needs to manage her threat efficiently and minions, and slowly build energy towards a massive energy channel turn. Theme, I'm giving her a 7. Captain Marvel absorbs energy, unleashes on her enemies. Space Station headquarters and her ally and Spider-Woman is also a S.H.I.E.L.D. member, are there to support her. Interestingly, I'd say that her theme has really only been enhanced by the inclusion of the S.H.I.E.L.D. block of cards for Justice. Because it really plays into her overall theme, I feel, as a S.H.I.E.L.D. soldier and an Avenger. For versatility, leadership and justice are vastly preferred aspects. Leadership for her access to the deep well of Avengers cards, and I must note, clarity of purpose, a card which is seemingly made specifically for Carol. I mean, it's even got her picture on it, so it makes sense. And Justice with the S.H.I.E.L.D. package that enables the Agent 13 Alpha Flight Station card draw engine. It is quite remarkable when you get that rolling. So in that sense, I find that her complexity, I'm going to give her an 8. I find her very easy to play. You manage your board state via allies and events and slowly build towards your big energy channel turns. And you're likely to be swimming in cards that do all the draw, enabling just amazingly efficient turns. Most of our attacks and our threat removal are pretty mid-range, but it's generally enough to deal with large threats. Removing 4 threat for 2, as long as she's flying, which is more likely going to be the case. Photonic Blast, 5 damage for 3, but drawing you a card because you're going to be spending energy resources. You most always are, because that's the core of who she is. I don't think, I wouldn't be saying, I'm not saying that she's autopilot at all. I just think that she's extremely easy to play, as would befit a character that is in the starter set. So overall, I'm giving her 33 points. She makes it into tier 1 on her power alone. I feel that she's been solved at this point. I don't think there's a lot of room for her to get much better. I will be very pleased to see if that's not the case. So being at the bottom of tier 1 like this, I wonder if with the next series of mutants, if they are strong and fun enough to play. She's under threat of being bumped out of tier 1, but no, very potent character. I think sort of a baseline for feeling like you're really effective in the game, and a great sort of starter for anybody just getting into Marvel Champions. So there's Carol, Captain Marvel, in position 12. Coming in at position 11 on our list, Spider-Ham. So, Spider-Ham has been controversial since the game's release, or his release, at least in the early days when they announced him. A lot of people were not happy with the existence of a cartoon character. My take on that is the fact that they're all cartoon characters. None of them exist. I would say that I have a soft spot for like funny animal characters, because when I was a kid there was a DC series called Captain Carrot and the Amazing Zoo Crew, and they're all like either parodies of DC heroes or sort of their own thing. So, I have absolutely no problem with Spider-Ham as a character. And also the fact that he's not a gimmick. He is both fun and powerful. So, to that end, we're going to give him a fun factor of 8. Yeah, I mean, there are instructions on the cards to wiggle, talk out loud, stick your tongue out. They're silly, but you know what? I may forget to do it when I'm playing, but when I read the text again, I get a chuckle out of the fact that, that's fun. It doesn't affect the game at all. Certainly doesn't mean you can't play the cards. I just find it quite entertaining. But that's his entire point. He is a silly character. He's a cartoon character. I think that had he been a weak hero, then it wouldn't be anywhere near as fun. But as far as his power level goes, I'm going to give him an 8. All the Web Warriors have turned out to be very powerful, and Spider-Ham is no exception. 2-1-1 is a stat line, seems somewhat weak, but most of the time you're only exhausting him to thwart, and you're leveraging his great core cards instead. A 5-6 hand size is very good. 5 recovery is excellent. And there being no limit on the number of tune counters seems like a design oversight. He's got low cost thwart and defense cards at the cost of counters. And cartoon physics is the best get out of jail free card since Spider-Man's backflip. And yes, you can beat Ronan on Expert Solo. And that was amazing how quickly that deck came out of what was developed, I think, in the first week that Spider-Ham was out. I have put up a video on the channel, and turns out to be one of my more popular ones. Everybody likes to see, apparently, 1, Ronan get beaten, and 2, a cartoon pig do it. So, on top of that was power level. He is a Web Warrior, and that comes with a whole ton of deck building opportunities, and a lot of the Web Warrior themed cards are extremely powerful. So there we have it. His power level is an 8. On theme, I mean, I'm giving him an 8 here as well. Spider-Man is theme. He's a cartoon pig who does cartoon things. He'd be rated higher if I knew anything about him other than the jokey Daily Beagle and Captain America or the Green Gobbler. I know nothing about the character. I've never read about him. But you know what? He's a cartoon character. Everything in here is cartoony. And I can't help but, when I play him, have John Mulaney's voice stuck in my head. With all of his voice lines on his cards. Versatility, I'm going to give him a 4. Leadership and protection, I think, are his primaries. Leadership, much like clarity of purpose, I think was designed. Seems like it was designed for Captain Marvel. It is absolutely essential when playing with Spider-Ham. Getting resources to take damage to therefore gain free resources is just amazing. He's got a hefty hit points of 12, so he can take those hits pretty easily. And also, of course, his recovery 5 is just ridiculous. The toon counters make playing out allies, even via make the call in leadership, almost trivial in cost. And protection allows for some fun web warrior tribal builds that don't play like a typically defensive protection deck. Again, due to Spider-Ham's incredible resiliency. There's so many good basic and protection web warriors that you can play it as tribal and get a lot of use out of them. And because some of them are expensive, it's easy enough to pay for them with Spider-Ham because of his toon counters. So, protection doesn't behave like a normal protection deck anymore because of the number of cards that are out there. And to be honest, he really doesn't need to be protected much when he has cartoon physics, which is a 1 cost upgrade. It's amazing. As far as complexity goes, I'm actually going to say he's about in the middle. Don't mistake power for ease of use. There's a lot of risk playing Spider-Ham, as you need to be carefully picking and choosing how much damage you're willing to take to gain counters. It feels like a push your luck mechanic in a way that, say, Star-Lord getting counter cards, that just feels bad. That feels like heroic mode. In this one, as I said, you do have some get out of jail free cards through, again, cartoon physics or a lot of blockers. You push your luck too far and a surprise villain attack can lead to your defeat. So I don't feel like he's autopilot at all. He's powerful, but his complexity is in a sweet spot, like right in the middle. I find you are very much rewarded the more you play him and the more you get used to him, and it encourages a lot of different kinds of play. Again, through leadership or protection. It'd be interesting to see if we have decks come out in the future that use the other aspects. But for now, I'm going to stick with those two. Okay, so 33 total points. I think it's safe to say that Spider-Ham will likely remain on the top tier forever. I look forward to taking on all the hardest villains in the game. Having now, at this point, bested the worst of the worst in Ronin, I want to see what he does against the other ones that always give me problems. So we'll see one day. I don't know why I'm covering up. You shouldn't be ashamed. You should be proud. That's Spider-Ham coming in at 11. Coming in at number 10, so we're in the top 10 now, it's Spider-Man Peter Parker. So we have another spider person, not in this case a web warrior, unfortunately. A lot of people decry the fact that he's not, but I think maybe he would be very busted if you added him into the web warrior tribal. But as far as fun goes, I give him a 7. He's a fun, straightforward hero. Since day one of the release in the core set, it always feels like you have an answer to the challenges on each turn, and you feel prepared for just about anything. With spider sense, with your spider trackers, with backflip, getting rid of big threat with swinging web kick, all very good, all webbed up. One of the only ways to get around, effectively get around stalwart and steady. It's costly, but still effective. Yeah, all around a very solid character. Power level, he's got, I'm going to give him a 7 in this. So 1, 2, and 3 is a pretty solid stat line. And Spider Sense drawing you a card from being attacked is great. Especially if you have that magical feeling of drawing into backflip. Because remember, it's when the villain initiates an attack against you, so you can pull that card before he gets to do anything. Scientist gives you a free resource on turn 1. He's also a genius, so ingenuity works very well with him as well. So use Scientist to put out ingenuity, gain that resource back. That would be like a great turn 1 play. And enables a faster engine build that way. But it's really zero cost backflip, as I mentioned, and the expensive webbed up and all webbed up. Now I want to say all webbed up because all webbed up is the power that he has in Crisis Protocol. So I keep saying all webbed up rather than webbed up. Swinging web kick is the gold standard of just straight up damage. Aerial attack, superpower, deal 8 damage to an enemy. Just 3 cost, 8 damage. And a superpower, so you can bring down the cost with Death Focus. Just sort of, as I said, the gold standard of how a core box hero should function. For theme, I'm giving a 7. He's got Aunt May. He's got Black Cat. He's got his trackers. He's got his web shooters. Very thematic, and every aspect of the character that we know and love is covered in his core cards. Nothing really shocking here. I just thought of it. Where's Mary Jane in all this? Where'd she go? Poor Mary Jane kicked to the curb for Felicia. Or Gwen Stacy, for that matter. Well, we have Gwen. We have Gwen as Spider. Ghost Spider, so I guess that makes sense. Versatility. I give him a 6. Leadership, aggression, and protection all do very well with Spider-Man. His core cards are so good that almost anything can support him. And of course it helps, again, that he is an Avenger like almost everybody seems to be. So access to all those cards is great. Complexity 7. As a release hero, he's pretty easy to play. Pick away at damage and thwart while waiting for those big swinging web kick and webbed up turns. So, there's not too much to say about him. He is a classical hero. He does exactly what you'd expect Spider-Man to do. So I'm putting him at 34 points. He's always going to be tier 1. And if the adage that a rising tide lifts all boats is true, and the card pool continually gets better and better and better because he's open to pretty much everything, so will Spider-Man. So we'll see. I think he's always going to be a tier 1. Let's see if he can stay within the top 10. So there he is, Spider-Man, number 10. All right, coming in at number 9, potentially a controversial pick, is Gamora. I give her a fun factor of 7. Coming in 9th might be a bit of a surprise for a lot of people, but I've always had a good time playing her, win or lose. She's an excellent all-rounder and can be with a lot of low-cost cards. Most of her stuff is not very expensive except for her sword, and there's so many very efficient low-cost events across aspects she she can do a lot on each of her turns, to say the least. And I like being able to do a lot of things on a given turn. A power level, I'm going to give her a 6. 2/2/2 is my preferred stat line. And 5/6 in her card draw is very good. With a possible 7 card starting hand, due to her action here. Look at the top card of your deck. If that attack is an attack or a thwart, then draw it limit once per round. And again, they're going to be cheap, so they're going to be easy to play. She has access to the best of all aspects, at least 6 cards that are events when it comes to attack and thwart. And just for playing them, she gets a little bonus effect from finesse and precision once per phase for each. So she can chip away at problems just by playing cards. That's the similar effect I like with, we'll see another hero in the future who does that is just rewarded by just doing things that they're meant to do. I mean, she doesn't do a lot of burst damage or thwarting, but chipping away at villain health and threat with multiple effects in turn using low-cost cards is strong, if not overwhelmingly powerful. Theme, I'm going to give her a 7. Gamora's single-minded hyper-competence shines through in her core cards, much like Nebula in a way. But unfortunately, similar to a lot of the other Guardians in that cycle, you know, other than the fact that she's got her sword and she's got Nebula and, of course, all of her many, many different skills here to deal with problems on her turn, there isn't a lot of flavor there. But theme is strong in terms of what she does, more so than the feeling of playing a fleshed out character. Versatility, I'm going to give her an 8. So while Justice, Aggression, and Protection are all great with Gamora, it's her access to 6 of the best attack and thwart events across all aspects that elevates her to an 8 in this category. And I'm sure that as more cards come out and she's going to get access to even more, I can see her even pushed higher in terms of her versatility. Who knows? She may even be a hero that might be capable of running all basic cards one day. Not at the moment, but who knows? More cards just means more opportunity. As far as complexity goes, I'm going to give her a 7. I mean, she does a little bit of everything all the time. She always seems to have at least a partial answer to the problems that need to be solved on your turn. Maybe something about her design just works with the way that I play, but I find her relatively easy to pilot. So she's coming in at 35 points. As I said, as attack and thwart events get better and more varied, she has the potential to at least maintain or exceed her rank. So if they get better, I could see her staying in the top 10, if not tier 1. If they don't, I think she may be in threat of dropping out of the tier and out of the top 10. But we'll see. So there's Gamora, rank 9. Coming in at 8, we have Nova. So, fun factor, Nova feels a lot like Captain Marvel. He's a cosmic power that uses power generation in a much more nuanced way than her, however. He's heavily combo reliant, but when Unleashed Nova Force goes off, it just feels amazing. Like you're channeling some, again, cosmic power in a way that Captain Marvel just stores it up and puts it out there. He's just constantly accessing it and spilling it out onto the battlefield. So for that, I'm giving a power level of 8. So the 1-1-2 stat line is just absolutely terrible. Most likely you'll be using basic power for anything other than readying his helmet to get more wild resources to pay for more of his abilities. His hero and alter ego sides are pretty unremarkable, so his strength comes from his efficient use of wild resources. His attack and thwart events are mid-range and lack burst, but he can easily use multiple on a turn. Oh, then there's the fact that he's a champion, and there's a suite of powerful champions cards in that release cycle that make him even more effective. So for theme, I'm going to give him a 6, perhaps due to my unfamiliarity with the character, but Nova feels a little dull. He just feels like a powerhouse with a singular support card. Like it's nice that Miss Marvel is in there as his ally, but it really is just all about wildcard resources and using his helmet to maximum efficiency, but not heavily thematic, without a sort of a place or somewhere where you kind of feel like he's an existing character. But again, that could be due to my unfamiliarity with Richard Rider. Or Sam. It's not Richard Rider. Richard Rider is the original. Sam Alexander. See? I'm stuck on who he really was. Or what really was. His previous version was. Anyway, for his versatility, I'm giving him an 8. He has such strong core cards that all aspects just make him better. Take your favorite package of aspect cards, slot it in to Nova, and just play. Complexity, I'm giving him a 6. Getting the most out of him can be tricky. Unleash Nova Force takes some setup to take a full advantage of. And to be quite honest, I don't recall ever really getting really huge use out of this on a turn. Maybe just the way, maybe I'm just not used to it to set it up. But yeah, just much of the time it didn't, there was never really a good opportunity to use it. But I have seen circumstances in which it just goes off and it's just crazy. And it can be somewhat difficult managing threat and damage from turn to turn with him, again, because he is very mid-range. With no burst, it's easy to get overwhelmed sometimes by much larger minions or multiple attacks coming your way. Because he's not the toughest in the world. Hit points of 10. Defense 2 helps somewhat, but it's not fantastic. So I'm putting him at 35 total points. And I'm going to be saying this a lot, or I have said this a lot already. There's not likely to be more Champions cards coming out. And those basic Champions cards are very, very powerful to be used with any Champions character. So I don't really see him being made any less viable in Tier 1, but I don't see him climbing any. So likely he's going to remain a Tier 1 character for the entirety of the time that he's played. Unless something significantly changes the way in which there are cards coming out that play around with more wildcard resources. But for now, Nova is a solid character and comes in at number 8. Coming in at number 7 is Black Widow. So for a fun factor, I've always had a good time playing Black Widow. Playing her feels like setting layers of traps for the villain to stumble into. She's reactive, but she's not reactive in the same way that, say, Ghost Spider is, having to spend resources and cards on the villain phase. She can set up everything in her own. And when they go off on your next phase, then you basically put out more traps for the villain to fall into. That said, her power level, I think, is a 6. 2, 2, and 2 is, for me, the perfect stat line. And both Mission Prep and Widowmaker are responses, which reward you for doing the things that Black Widow wants to do all the time anyway, which is another mechanic I love. A lot like Gamora, she doesn't have any big burst events, but she can be very selective with how she distributes damage and thwart on her turn. It feels great to have a bunch of prep cards go off on the villain's turn, and then reload them on your next villain phase, or hero phase. For theme, I'm giving her a 10. I think that right out of the box, she was almost perfectly designed. Playing her feels exactly like playing a super spy. She's got tons of, all of her upgrades, all of her prep cards, her technology, Winter Soldier being her signature ally, having a safe house, having actually some benefit from switching over to the Natasha Romanoff side. Just a 10. Straight up, probably the most thematic character in the game. You feel like a hyper-capable super spy when playing her. Versatility, I'm going to give her a 4. I mean, there are plenty of decks out there for all of her aspects, but I do truly think that her home is in Justice and Leadership. She's a shield. She's an Avenger. She gets tons of use out of aspect cards with those designators. She was always good, but the shield package that was released, it works perfectly with her, and thematically perfectly with her. Complexity, I'm giving her a 7. I find her pretty easy to play. And again, it may be my bias towards heroes that reward you for doing the thing they're meant to do for free and often. So your trickiest decision points are determining which of the preparations to play in response to the board state and against the particular villain that you're facing. So Black Widow gets a 35. Here in the top 10, it's getting really hard to determine how she could possibly be better. Will there be more prep cards in the mutant cycle? If so, I think she could actually climb. More prep. I mean, there's plenty of prep cards in certain aspects, but my goodness, if there were more to come out, I think it would fuel her even better, and she could actually, I believe, rise in the ranks. Otherwise, I think she's pretty solid. She's always going to be a top 10 for me. Black Widow comes in at 7. Coming in at number 6, we have Ant-Man. Ant-Man, fun factor, I'm giving him an 8. On a form changer? Me? An 8 fun factor? Yeah, it's true. Ant-Man overcomes my inherent dislike of the mechanic by being very good overall. Resize is the gold standard of form-changing events, and you're rewarded just for doing the thing that the hero was designed to do. So resize, change your other form, draw a card. Each form does something. So puny past response, after you change this form, remove 1 threat from a scheme. And then giant nuisance responds after you change this form, deal 1 damage to an enemy. So just amazing. And you've got 1, 2. Well, you only got 2, but they're not hard to actually recur in your deck throughout the game. Power level, I'm giving him an 8. His core is extremely powerful, supported by solid stat lines in all forms, and responses which trigger on form changes. Stack that on top of card effects that add additional thwart or damage upon changes, and Scott can easily keep the board state manageable in your favor. Wasp is a better ally here to him than I feel she is as her own hero, unfortunately. But, you know, that's unfortunate, but so be it. He even gets a powerful damage spike in Giant Stomp, which is on par with Spidey's Swinging Web Kick, which is, again, one of those gold standard cards in terms of damage. Especially since it does 1 damage to each minion, then deal 8 damage to an enemy. So good for getting through, like, I don't know, a Frost Giant, let's say, that has tough on them. Like Laufey, it can just stomp Laufey into the ground. Which is a good feeling, because that minion is a real pain. So for theme, I'm giving him an 8. Ant-Man is supposed to be the premier form-changing hero. And when playing him, you certainly feel like a master of that technique. So from his technology to Wasp to his armies of ants. Yeah, that's multiple armies of ants that actually stack and do more for you. Under Hive Mind, for example. I like that feel of you're marshaling up your forces and then you get to use them for incredible effect. His theme is very much on point. For versatility, I'm going to give him a 6. Justice, leadership, and aggression are all very viable with Ant-Man, again, because he's so good on his own. The composition of the remaining 25 cards really only just enhance his strengths. For his complexity, I'm going to give him a 5. Solidly in the middle of the scale. All form changers are inherently more complex, but here, careful planning is essential to be successful with blowout turns. When you're form changing multiple times in a turn, you need to pay attention to what order you're playing those cards in order to be the most successful. I mean, that goes for everything, but I think especially with Ant-Man, you really want to pay attention to how you're maximizing those little bits of damage that you're doing, or little bits of thwart. So, 35 points. Is it possible for Ant-Man to be better than he already is? Oh, well, I've said this before with previous form-changing heroes, but let's say that Kitty Pryde or Colossus have come with aspect cards or basic cards that enhance form changing or support form changing. I think it's a good chance that he could actually rise in the ranks somewhat. But I think he's always going to be a tier 1 hero. Again, might be that bias towards a character. You're getting rewarded for playing the character the way that they're designed. I don't know, but we'll see. I do hope there is something to support more form changing. I can't imagine there wouldn't be going forward, but I think he's always going to be tier 1, probably always top 10. And so that has Ant-Man coming in at 6. Coming in at number 5 is Scarlet Witch. I'm giving her a fun factor of 8. Chaos is fun. Chaos with no real downside is even better. Scarlet Witch can control the tempo of the game from turn 1, and even if she loses it, you can swiftly regain it over and over and over again with many, many times you're playing Hexbolt over and over and over again because there's 4 of them in her deck. Her power level, I'm giving her a 9. So when you get up to like a 9 or a 10 with the power level, the question becomes whether or not the hero is broken. I mean, no other character uses the villain's encounter deck against them the way that she does. She can get expensive ancient cards out for free with chaos magic. And has access to very powerful mystic cards like Sorcerer Supreme and Spiritual Meditation to always be finding the cards that you want. Chaos Control on her card, coupled with Hexbolt, means that you're manipulating the game in your favor all the time. I mean, it's limited once per phase, but usually that's enough. Now, her supposed downside is that she's burning through the hero deck and encounter deck so swiftly. You risk additional encounter cards and acceleration, but it hardly matters when that just means your Hexbolts just come back into your deck faster. So, yeah, there's 4 in here. They're not that expensive, and they do so very much on your turn. For her theme, I'm giving her a 9. Theme here is coupled with power in Wanda, and everything else from her brother, with Quicksilver being in the deck, and with Agatha Harkness, it just feels extremely strong that you are playing a hero that is manipulating chaos energy to be incredibly successful and effective. For versatility, I'm only going to give her a 4 here. So leadership or justice, I think, are required for Wanda, since thwarting is her weakest area. You can just leave the thwarting to justice events or your many Avengers allies when you concentrate on hitting the villain hard, turn after turn after turn. Her complexity, I'd say she's a 7. Her core cards are so good and so powerful that she's a breeze to play. Even the added encounter cards and acceleration tokens are no real cause for alarm. I dare say that playing Wanda is a relaxing time for me, secure in the knowledge that I'm very likely to win that scenario, even if the game goes particularly long. So, she is at a massive 37 points. I feel that Scarlet Witch has been solved at this point. There are decks out there that concentrate on card draw with her, which is her thing. She's always going to have what she needs when she needs it, with very little difficulty. So without any new Mystic or Avengers cards entering the pool for the foreseeable future, I doubt that any other any additional 25 cards are going to be adding to her core are going to change much about her. She's never going to leave the top 10. But I don't think there's much room at the top, now that we're in the top 5, for her to move any further up. So, always solid, always good. Scarlet Witch comes in at 5. Coming in at number 4 is Captain America. I'm giving you a fun factor of 7. Captain America is the baseline for how fun a hero should be in Marvel Champions, in my opinion. He's the pilot. Can do most things you need to do well on each turn and fits with every solo playstyle. His power level, I'm giving a 6. On his own, he isn't overwhelmingly powerful. He's got an excellent 2/2/2 stat line. Again, my favorite one. Living Legend is a very sensible power. Reducing the cost of an ally played each round by 1 is good, but not overwhelmingly powerful. Like if it was a 2 or higher, I think it would be broken. And his I can do this all day ability is very good. Feels like you're just constantly active and able to do something even with his basic powers on his turns. But overall, I feel that he requires really good aspect cards to really get the job done. His core set, his core cards are good, but are so basic in a way that they are fully enhanced by very good aspect cards. As far as his theme goes, I'm giving him a 9. I mean, one of the strongest in the game. Each and every core card is a reference to the indomitable will and hyper-competence of the good captain. I feel he should be the template in which all heroes are built around. I don't understand why he wasn't in the core set, why he was a separate release. But yeah, everything from his upgrades that fuel him, to his apartment, to his preferred weapon, to his just determination, to Agent 13, etc., etc., etc. All of it extremely thematic. Versatility, I'm going to give him an 8. Since his core cards offer a little bit of everything, he fits comfortably into all aspects. He's such an early hero that he has his choice of excellent cards from a very deep card pool at this point. Don't know if he can handle basic, but I think he fits into every aspect playstyle that you can bring to him. His complexity, I'm giving him an 8. He's extremely easy to play. And my recommendation for anyone looking into playing Champion solo, to get a feel for the tempo of solo play. If you don't have a solution to a problem on your current phase, you probably will on your next hero phase. So just take the hit, because you can take them pretty well, and just play on, and don't sweat it. So I'm giving him 38 points in total. I mean, there's not really much to say about Captain America. He's a solid all-arounder for solo play, even after all this time. Admittedly, he is a little bit dull, but he'll only move out of the top 10 if future heroes are just so much better than him. But he is the quintessential, I feel, solo hero in this game. Almost feels like that pack was built around him being that way, but who knows? So there he is, Captain America, coming in at number 4. Coming in at number 3, I mean, there's not many heroes left at this point. Who could it be? Spider-Man Miles Morales. So, fun, I'm giving him an 8. Miles checks all the boxes for me. He's a solid performer who rewards you for just playing the best cards you possibly can each turn. Against most villains, you feel like you're absolutely clowning on them. He's got a power level of 9. He's a contender for the most powerful hero in the game, primarily on the back of his Venom Blast and Spider Camouflage specials. They are so easy to trigger, and depending on your chosen aspect, can stun or confuse lock the villain into almost irrelevance. He can freely switch between hero and alter ego, gaining tangible benefits from doing so with almost no repercussions. He's even got some recursion to make sure a web shot or swing in is always going to be available. Oh, and he's got the 2/2/2 stat line, which is, again, the perfect stat line. Theme, I'm give him an 8. Miles' energetic nature comes through in this deck, and similar to Miss Marvel, his civilian life is well integrated into his core cards, with Genki Lee, and his, I believe, it's got a web shooter, and I believe his uncle, Jefferson Davis. I think that's his uncle. I have to look it up. The Prowler, I think, from the movie. I should also point out that, of course, he is a web warrior, and there are a lot of he's a web warrior and a champion, and both web warrior and champion have ridiculously powerful cards. So that brings me to versatility. So I'm giving him a 6. Aggression, leadership, and protection all work well with him. I mean, there are so many excellent web warrior cards in the Sinister Moto cycle, and champion cards, that the tribal archetypes are viable. Except, I think, for Justice. I don't think he really finds a home there. But yeah, I look forward to, there's a fun protection package using a bunch of web warriors that came out later in the cycle after Sinister Motos came out. That would be a lot of fun to play around with Spider-Man. So for his complexity, I'm giving him a 7. He's relatively easy to play. He frequently stuns and confuses, and it gives you some breathing room to get your engine up and running very quickly. So Spider-Man comes in at 38 points. He's so capable on his own that your aspect choices feel almost redundant. With no more web warrior cards or champion cards on the horizon, he's about as good as I think he's ever going to get. He's going to remain in tier 1, and I would not doubt a top 5 hero for as long as this game keeps running. So there he is, Spider-Man Miles Morales, rank 3. All right, so we're down to the last 2 heroes. So if you've been watching along this far, you probably know which ones they are. Well, it's kind of obvious which ones they are. But which one takes spot 1 and which one takes spot 2? Well, in second place is Venom. Fun factor, I'm giving him an 8. He's a symbiote with guns, and he always seems to have an answer to the problems that you're facing on your turn. So I don't... what's not to like in that? You feel like an absolute badass taking on any villain. And even if you lose, which is less likely than you'd think, you feel like he gave as good as you got. Power level, 9. So again, we're in is he broken territory. 1, 2, and 2 is a good stat line, but it's his entire kit that makes him the total package of solo play. He can confuse, stun, stop villain attacks cold. Grasping tendrils, for example, is one way to get around not being able to deal with style order steady. He can have incredible burst turns and get extra resources and card draw with virtually no downside. He's the best guardian in the game, and I'd hazard a bet that Venom was designed specifically with the solo player in mind. For theme, I'm giving him an 8. Everything about Venom screams highly trained Spec Ops soldier wielding incredible power who fearlessly faces down any threat that stands in his way. Only the lack of signature ally, which is a weird anomaly from the Guardian cycle, knocks his score down a bit. Want to feel like you're playing a badass in Marvel Champions? Well, Venom's your guy. Versatility, he's almost the total package. I'm giving him a 6. Finding ample support in justice and aggression, and protection. So justice and aggression really do enhance his confuse and stun capabilities, and protection to enable Flash to get on with the job. Complexity, I'm going to give him an 8. Well, not exactly on rails. Venom is very easy for a solo player to run. You're almost always going to have multiple answers to every problem, and you'll more than likely be able to take and maintain tempo very early in the game. So he comes in at a whopping 39 total points. He's the cream of the crop. He's so powerful that it's tempting to think of him as broken. At his core, I don't think he is. But when he came into the game, he already had a deep card pool to draw from. So from day one, he was very strong. He'll always be in the top 5. It would be very hard for any hero, new hero at least, to outshine Flash Thompson. So there he is, Venom, coming in at rank 2. There's absolutely no need to cover up number 1 because by process of elimination, that's who we have. It's Doctor Strange. So, fun factor, I'm only giving him a 5. I mean, he's number 1 in the rankings, but why does he have such a low fun factor? It's because he is so absolutely broken. You have to actively not play Doctor Strange to even have a challenge against most villains in a Marvel Champions. I mean, it's not 100%. You will still lose against, rapidly scheming villains or overwhelming attacks just based on card draw. But even against your Ronins or your Nebulas or your Venom Goblins, you're always going to feel like you have the advantage against them. Sometimes seal clubbing can be fun, but for a challenge, I'm not necessarily reaching for the good doctor. However, his power is level 10. If you want to club seals, then you are definitely reaching for Doctor Strange. The incantation deck is a mechanic that we're likely to never see again. It's just overwhelmingly powerful. 5 cheap cards in a fast, refreshing, and easily manipulated deck that can cover all of your bases all the time. Core cards which support using that deck multiple times a turn, such as Master of the Mystic Arts. It's amazing to me that this card actually exists in the way it does. Pay the printed cost of the top card of the Invocation deck, resolve the special ability, then place it back on top of the Invocation deck, face up. I mean, you always know what you're getting. You're playing face up with the thing all the time. Oh, If you played him, you know the joy of playing Winds of Watum multiple times in a turn for a massive card draw. He's a bottomless well of power and absolutely broken. And when they added in Cosmo in the Guardians cycle, a basic card that honestly he should always be one of the additional 25 in your deck, it takes into 11, because then you can just, I don't really want this particular invocation this turn. I'm going to get some benefit for not doing consequential damage to Cosmo. All right, I'm just going to flip that and get rid of it and just use the next card that, oh, look, it's one that I actually want to use. It's there's no guesswork. You're just calling event all the time. And it's pretty potent using Cosmo with him. So for theme, I'm giving him a straight up 10. Sometimes, I've said it before, theme is power and power is theme. Playing Doctor Strange, you feel like the true master of the mystic arts, the Sorcerer Supreme. He's got his signature and very effective upgrade support cards and an ally, along with a bevy of iconic spells at his disposal. Versatility, I'm giving him an 8. He's a quintessential hero whose core is so good, it's almost irrelevant what aspect you take with him. Deck design, I have to say, is almost an afterthought. Want to play something weird and janky, go right ahead, and it's unlikely to impact your power that much. If I was confident that he could run all basic cards, he might have hit 10 in that category. But as of this moment, he's not quite there yet. But, you know, there's only more cards that are going to come out. For complexity, I'm giving him a 9. He's very powerful and in that sense, very easy to play. Your adage here is ABC, always be casting your invocations. You're rarely asked to make hard decisions with Strange, no matter who the villain is. If you're looking for a truly relaxed game with an almost guaranteed win, again, not against your top rank villains, but, you know, putting up against, I don't know, let's use an example of a real mid-range one. I've yet to do the rankings of them. I don't know, Taskmaster. You know, you're just basically going to run them over. So yeah, if you're looking for a relaxed game with an almost guaranteed win, then take Dr. Stephen Strange. So he comes out at a massive 42 points. I can confidently say it would take an absolutely busted hero to come out to knock Dr. Strange from the top spot. There's only one way to go, and that's down. Much like Star-Lord on the bottom, there's only one way to go up. But unless there are mutants out there that are coming that are absolutely broken, I think Doctor Strange is likely to stay at the top of the heap for the lifespan of this of how long this game is published for. So there he is, Doctor Strange coming in number 1. And there we have it, our top 12 Tier 1 heroes for Marvel Champions up until September 2022. I'd like to thank everybody for having watched along this far. I look forward to comments, or your comments, or what do you think I did with the ratings that may have that you agree with, that you don't agree with, that upset you, that excited you, who knows. I just realized I forgot to mention in my intros of this that I hadn't actually watched any of the other recent channels who do Marvel Champions content for their rankings. Because I didn't want that to prejudice what I was going to do. But now I'm free to go and watch all those other channels. Just to see if I've got am I totally wrong? Is it me that's wrong? Is everybody else wrong? But everybody, of course, has their own tastes. As I said all along, this rating comes from my experience of playing the game and how I like to play it. And that's the important thing about this game and games in general. Have fun with your stuff, the way that you want to play it. So, here we are on the eve of Mutant Genesis and a whole new bunch of heroes and scenarios to play, which I'm very much looking forward to. Heck, on the channel, I still haven't played every hero I think I've still at this point, when I've recorded it, 3 or 4 more that have not made an appearance. So yeah, lots of content is still coming for this game, and I look forward to providing it for you. So again, thanks for watching along this far, and until next time, happy gaming. Thank you so much for watching Longship Gaming. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It will really help the channel to grow and improve. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when more Longship Gaming content goes live. Until next time, happy gaming.